What went wrong tonight?
The results. And especially the way we conceded the 2 goals.
Yeah. What happened? What from your point of view was wrong about those 2
We
goals?
had a lot of moments. We have so much dominance, so much situations in and around the box. We conceded the first goal in a very unusual way for us, in the way we defended the box. The second one from direct play as well. But they had another chance in the first half, very similar to that, even without touching the ball. And when you have that many situations in the final third in and around the box, we had 2 massive chances just before Southampton scores. You need to capitalize on that. Otherwise, if you make the defending errors that we made today, it's very difficult to win a semi-final.
Did they surprise you? I mean, they caused you problems, and I know you've talked about the ones you caused them.
Surprise, no.
No.
They are a really good side. They've been in a really good run, and you have to congratulate them.
Yeah. And again, not to make excuses, was the conditions a headache, a problem for maybe for both teams, but for your back line tonight?
Conditions.
The wind?
You have to adapt to the wind, to the injuries, to whatever. You want to be in every competition and win. You have to adapt to any context. And now you have to adapt to difficult situations in the season or disappointing situations, because difficult is something else, in my opinion. And now we have to show what we are made of.
Yeah, and you had to pick a team maybe out of necessity that doesn't play all the time with each other. Is that an excuse?
No, it's not. And that team had very good moments in certain moments in the game that should capitalize and be in Wembley, and we haven't done it. So that's our responsibility.
And another headache, your centre half Gabriel coming off injured. What can you tell us?
I don't know. He had to come off. Obviously, that's a strange coming from Gabi, but we're going to have to assess and see how he is.
And a difficult couple of weeks now, straight into Lisbon.
Yes, but some beautiful weeks ahead as well, with what we have to play in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and what we have to play for in the league as well.
We look forward to that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, full focus now has to be on trying to achieve a Champions League and Premier League double, a massive game coming up against Sporting. But Martin, after the Carabao Cup final defeat before the international break and now this, how big a psychological blow is that?
Well, huge. And you saw Man City as well earlier in the day against Liverpool, quite emphatic the way that they won. It's about getting back to the basics. He said there about protecting the goal, giving sloppy goals away. I know the conditions played their part, but there were plenty of warnings for these Arsenal players. The first goal came after 33 minutes. They should have adapted, maybe better. Okay, you say well done to your opponent, but Arsenal should be winning a game like this tonight. They've got to get back to winning games of football. Simple as that. It couldn't come any bigger than Tuesday night against Sporting, and then Bournemouth to follow in the Premier League. So plenty of opportunities to put it right. Of course, Saka, Rice coming back into the equation to get a better balance in that midfield where they couldn't really control the game tonight. I think that was an important factor of why they lost.
You mentioned Rice and Saka there. We talk a lot about the depth Arsenal have got this season, don't we? But did tonight just show the importance of key players for them, the likes of Declan Rice, Raya, Timber as well? Oh,
big time, yeah. I mean, if Saliba, Raya, Declan Rice, Saka are playing, they probably win the game. Declan's one of the perfect ones for, in terms of mentality. I don't have mentality today, but I just think Sir Alex used to say in a big game when you're the favourite, concentration. It's about concentration. I thought that Mikel mentioned in his interview, there were moments there where they didn't defend like they normally do, Arsenal, and it'll be a blow. I think it'll be a bit of a shock, and like you said, 4 could become 2 still, and they're the 2 biggest, the Premier League and the Champions League. And Arsenal have been too good this season now to give this away, whether it's the Premier League or whether it's the Champions League. They've been exceptional, but they got to finish the job. I think when everybody's back fit and healthy, they probably should be okay. But I thought, if a 16-year-old's your best player today, that's not a great sign. They've got a really good squad. They built it up. But I thought Max Dalman today was probably the only player that probably played to the level that Mikel probably expected from the starting 11.
I think it was a big nod to the future when you take off the captain and you put him in the 10 role, Dalman, and he certainly did. He came alive at that point, and it was like, could you get him, in enough space to be able to pull the trigger? I think the keeper makes one tremendous save for him when he cuts in on that right-hand side, and maybe this game's come a little bit too soon for him. He was out for 3 months. He couldn't quite get the space. I mean, Manning was booked early in the game. And this is him, coming onto that, not quite the power there. So that was a fight, shall we say. And they dealt well with him. I thought they defended really well, got bodies around him. But that chance he has on the edge of the box was probably the best chance he gets of the night, Owen.
Do you know what? He was probably the only one that was really creating anything, and I thought initially Manning did really well against him. But you know what? His balance and his patience, his timing is so good. And he, you know, credit Southampton, they got a lot of blocks in on him, but he just finds a way, Martin, doesn't he?
He's probing, isn't he?
Oh, he's so patient and he's well balanced. He almost never turns the ball over, and he just got something really unique. That was a brilliant save from the goalkeeper. But when he went central, I just thought, look at that turn. They shouldn't be getting out of there. You know, as a 16-year-old kid, had to bring him down. I just thought he was the one where you could say it was literally get in the ball and let him create something. And I thought he was probably the only one that really looked like he was going to create.
It's an interesting one when you look ahead to Tuesday and whether you're going to start to bring him in. He's 16 years of age. We're all talking about protecting him. But I think he's showing enough now to say,
would you start him, Martin?
I don't think they will. I think, well, Eze's not available. Ødegaard's been taken off maybe with a view to Tuesday. But it's getting close now for the Downman starting these games. And
if you were picking, would you put him in?
I'd be tempted. But, you know, the manager, I think he really does well with all the youngsters. There's been 6 players come through the academy and made their debuts this season. I think Arteta's handling it very well. Let's let him decide. But he's close to starting games now for Arsenal.
What are you thinking if you're in that Man City group now, Owen, after winning the Carabao Cup in the manner that you did and now seeing Arsenal crash out to Championship opposition in the FA Cup on the same day that you convincingly book your place at Wembley?
Look, they'll probably have to win out Man City, and they're more than capable of it. But again, Arsenal don't have that many, I would say, really difficult fixtures. Obviously, the one at the Etihad would be the big one. If they can go there and win or get a draw, then the title's theirs. But if they slip up, I think City are peaking at a good time. You know, they look brilliant in that final. They struggled against Real Madrid, but Real Madrid did that to a lot of teams. But I thought, obviously, the performance against Liverpool today for City, and I think Arsenal dropping or losing today, you know, and dropping points. I just think Pep, you know, they'll take a lot of confidence in that. But again, Arsenal put themselves in such a brilliant position. They just need to finish the job.
But they've got that game in hand, Man City. They've got the game against Arsenal. They're smelling blood now, Martin, do you think?
Well, they are. But, you know, Arsenal now need to show personality. They have to show character. And the manager said there'll hopefully be other good moments to come in the season. And that's when you'll look back and say, well, we've recovered from 2 major disappointments. But you saw City today playing with massive confidence. You know, you could see the lift winning that League Cup has given them. And suddenly passing the ball around, everyone playing with confidence. And pretty well that same, you know, he likes to have 2 wingers, doesn't he? Man City, Doku on one side, Semenyo on the other. And they looked really good. So I wouldn't be looking at City. I'd be trying to sort our club out if I was an Arsenal player right now. You know, go back to the basics and let's get back to winning games.
And the one thing that they didn't need was another injury tonight. So it was a worrying sight for the Arsenal fans and the manager to see Gabriel going off with a knee injury.
Yeah, hopefully it isn't too bad. I mean, you could argue he's been the player of the season this season, whether it's him or Declan. But he's a must for this Arsenal team, and I think David Raya is another one. So if they can get the boys back fit and healthy, Declan and Saka, then I think Arsenal are going to finish the job and win the Premier League. But today was a blip for sure.
Martin, we're almost out of time, but are there
All right, Kieran, we just heard from Mikel Arteta. Thoughts on what he had to say before we wrap?
I think he wanted to keep it short and sharp, doesn't he? I think he doesn't want to take too much noise and information at the moment. It's all about what's to come. So it sounds like he just wants to dust it off and move on.
And that's best.
And absolutely, it's best. The challenge is, how do you keep your players from the noise that is inevitably going to come as a result? You've got to get into that dressing room. You've got to speak to those players, convince them, again, that they're a good team. They're sitting top of the table in the Premier League. That continues to be a focus. You've had a bad couple of games, so be it. Now, how do you respond next? Big night against Sporting to come. In the Champions League, you get that performance, that result right, that you put the last couple of weeks behind you. You've got to do that as quickly as you possibly can.
All right, final thoughts then, Kieran. Are you just ready to get out of here?
No, don't tell them what you're really thinking. Don't tell them. Nobody wants to know what you're really thinking.
I have to say I still remain very positive. So much to play for. The time is now.
The time is
Oh,
now.
boy. I feel
man.
inspired.
He was an absolutely dismal face when that full-time whistle was blown. But thank you to everyone for hanging with us. And que sera, sera. They are going to Wembley indeed as they have booked their spot in the semi-finals of this FA Cup. They will be joining the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City, who booked their spot in the semi-finals earlier today. All right, let's welcome in Archie Rintut, who is pitch side for us. Archie, talk to me. How is St. Mary's now after what has been quite the upset?
St. Mary's is drawing its breath, having just gone absolutely bonkers. I cannot tell you. There are people still dancing on the aisles on their way out of the stadium now. People don't really want to leave here, and you understand why. 50 years ago, Southampton as a second division team won the FA Cup for the only time in their history. And now once again as a second tier team, they're going back to Wembley, having beaten the league leaders of the Premier League, Arsenal. And for Tonda Eckert, who was, let's not forget, in charge of the under-21 team at the start of this season, nobody in England had really heard of him. And yet at 33 years of age, he has the chance to maybe lead Southampton to Wembley 3 times in the next few months. Back to Wembley for the semi-final of the FA Cup. Maybe again if they reach the final, if they can beat Arsenal, who knows? And then maybe in the playoff final in the Championship. But what an unbelievable display this was from his team. Shea Giles, not a scorer of many goals, but a scorer of big goals, it has to be said. But what an all-round performance this was. You can go throughout that whole team. Daniel Peretz in goal, making some crucial saves. Cameron Bragg, a guy who's just in his first season really of professional football in the first team squad at Southampton. But then you have to look at the other side of the coin, and that's the rather muted side of the corner there, where no Arsenal fans are to be seen. Nearly 5,000 travelled down here, and they know what's happened. It's only the first time that Arsenal have suffered back-to-back defeats this season, and now the noise will ramp up. More pressure on that game against Sporting away in the Champions League. This is the thing. Arsenal fans, I'm sure, once they have somehow taken a deep breath from this and what happened here tonight, will take a deep breath and go, look, there is still a lot more to be won this season. They are out of both domestic cups. That has happened, but they will need to move on because they still do have the chance of glory on both the European stage and to clinch that first Premier League title in over 20 years. However, tonight was not what was planned at all. And for someone like Ben White, for example, not an evening to remember for him, along with a few other Arsenal players as well. They didn't create enough chances, nor enough control, really, I think, on the game that you would have wanted to see from them. But Mikel Arteta cut a sorry figure, and seeing the pained expressions of Nicolas Hover, the set-piece coach, over and over again in the game. Arsenal's set pieces, it should be said, they've only scored 2 goals from corners in their last 14 games now, compared to 23 in their first 31 this season. So that's running out a bit, and now they need to find a new energy. But tonight, it is about Southampton. Back to Wembley again, 50 years on, and a 15-game unbeaten run in all competitions. Who's betting against Tonda Eckert's side now?
Yeah, Southampton, definitely a lot to celebrate for that. But Kieran, if we're going to be honest, of course, it is the Premier League that you do want for Arsenal, plus the Champions League as well. However, as Archie pointed out, it's the first time in a while that Arsenal have suffered 2 big defeats back-to-back, knocking them out of cups. Of course, to Manchester City in the League Cup final, and now this one. We talk so much about Arsenal's mentality and how that needs to be perfect to actually win silverware this season. How much will this rattle them?
I think it's a dent. It's a small dent in a long season. I think for large parts of this season, they've been fantastic in terms of their performance level and the efficiency that they've managed to get results. I don't think this is enough to derail them. Let me just say, if they were put in this position at the start of the season, would they have taken it? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Still in with a chance at the Champions League, still in with a huge chance to win the Premier League, as Archie said there, in over 20 years. So I think the big prizes are still there to be won. And I think in terms of the performance level, like I said earlier, this hasn't been too dissimilar to what we've seen this season, especially from an offensive standpoint. So I think now more than ever is the time for unity. For them to block out the outside noise, because there's going to be backlash, as we know, and as we were saying earlier, there is an unprecedented amount of scrutiny on Arsenal in terms of their style of play, and
not for me.
I know you, Alexis, have been mentioning enough about their set piece dominance.
But look, goal from open play from Yonkers. Max
Exactly.
Dowman played beautifully, like back in the park when you were a kid. So it is possible.
Yeah, and that is a huge positive.
Yeah.
Max Dowman's performance today, I mean, wow, 16 years old, everything Arsenal did today went through him. And for him to take that responsibility on his shoulders, even up until the last minute, driving through the midfield, committing fouls against him, that's a bright spark in an otherwise disappointing afternoon.
Shaka, I mean, of course, when Arsenal, do the post-mortem and look back at this, yes, you can point out what they've done wrong, but this win wasn't a fluke for Southampton.
No, it wasn't. Unexpected, maybe before a ball was kicked, but certainly given the performance we saw from Southampton, not a fluke. Perez, as Archie mentioned, absolutely outstanding in goal for Southampton, but I'd like to pay particular credit to their back four just in general, how they defend and the way they were able to throw their bodies in the way of everything that Arsenal had to throw them. I thought, as a lower league opponent, Southampton did everything you could ask of them. When you come into games such as this, and I've been a part of a couple of teams that have gone up against a dominant opponent. You do the basics well. Southampton did. You throw your body in the way of things as whenever you can. They did that. You take opportunities when they come. Southampton did that as well. So to their credit, they made this a difficult night for Arsenal. Now, and to Kieran's point, this is a result that they certainly can build on. There's an electricity around Southampton right now into an FA Cup semi-final and the visit to Wembley that you can build on. They still sit just outside the playoff spaces, I think a point behind Wrexham. Now, how do you build on this performance? The self-belief that is oozing through that dressing room. Now, you look on the other side and you just wonder how Arsenal cope with this. Let me be clear. There is not a team in the country that would not prefer to be in the position that Arsenal are right now. They're in pole position. That's not up for debate. But while it's been over 20 years since Arsenal has last won a title, we want to see them complete the job. That will always be the question mark that continues to hang over them. We started today by saying good teams don't lose 2 in a row. Arsenal have now done that. I expected a better response from Arsenal, given what we saw in the Carabao Cup final. It didn't come, or maybe I'm just not giving Southampton enough credit in that regard. But I expected a response. Now, as you look, and again, I'll say it again, Arsenal are in the best position of any club in domestic football in England. But right now, Manchester City sit 9 points behind Arsenal. They have a game in hand. They win that, that's down to 6. Arsenal now, on the back of 2 defeats, go to Sporting, Bournemouth, Sporting, Manchester City, Newcastle. Now, all of a sudden, that game against Manchester City has an incredible amount of gravity. If everything stays the same, when City win their game in hand, and all of a sudden it's 6 points, and then they go to the Etihad, and it's 3 points, and then you come back home, and against a Newcastle team who are not chasing, should not be a threat, but are a good team on the day, and they've shown it. All of a sudden, you entertain Newcastle with the pressure amped up in that way. That becomes a far more difficult game than were you entertaining Newcastle in early January. It's the pressure that really tells here. Newcastle are not on any because they're not going to finish top 4 or top 5. So they're just playing at this point and playing with a freedom. Arsenal are the team that are under as much pressure as I've seen for quite some time.
Yeah, Archie, you spoke about the energy that Arsenal you felt lacked there at halftime. If we talk about the Arsenal faithful, of course, you've been closer to them today with the back-to-back defeats now in 2 cups. Do you feel like they will be rattled and start feeling that pressure and start caving into the scrutiny, as Kieran pointed out, of where people start calling them serial bottlers?
That's the thing, Alexis. There is, of course, a section of every fan base which would be a bit rattled by what's just happened. And I think because of what's happened with Arsenal in recent seasons, naturally that will occur. But I think there is a much louder crowd online who does that with Arsenal than at other clubs, for example. And Mikel Arteta, I think, has called for unity. And this is what they are going to need in these next few weeks. They are going to need to bounce back and they are going to need to respond. But I think it was interesting just how quiet the Arsenal fans went after Southampton scored their first goal, because I think they really felt that gut punch as well. Losing to Manchester City is one thing, but coming here and being eaten up in the bear pit of Southampton, which is not a phrase that has ever really existed, and I'm sure my Southampton friends would agree with that, is something else. So I think it's going to be difficult for them to try and keep their calm with the team when, if performances do continue along those lines, which, look, who's to say that? They've played, 51 games now this season, and the majority of them have been stable. But I think it is about them getting more control. And seeing Martin Odegaard back on the pitch for Arsenal, I think, is going to help give them more control. And that's the question for me, is how fit is he right now? Because they really need that creativity in the middle from him. When Martin Odegaard is on form, Bukayo Saka is on form. And he's not been in his best form right recently, as we've seen in the last few months, because Martin Odegaard has been in and out of the team. So I think that is central to making sure that Arsenal fans are calmed again. And they need a result and a performance against Sporting in the Champions League. Bournemouth at home is also not a straightforward fixture. But if you want to be champions, then you've got to overcome these hurdles. Being an elite athlete and sports person is about overcoming the mental side of things as well. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing to see how Arsenal deal with that challenge. They've overcome a lot of things in the last few years. When they beat Real Madrid, that was a big step for Arsenal in the Champions League. But now they're going to have to prove themselves again. And I'm sure that having some sort of siege mentality will be encouraged by Mikel Arteta. And let's see how they get on with that.
All right, well, Archie's been tasked with the tough job of trying to get some Arsenal interviews for us, or Southampton ones as well. So we're going to catch back up with Archie in case he gets some later on. But Kieran, Archie mentioned Martin Odegaard. We spoke in the pre-game, and I asked, who do you feel needs a good night tonight? And both you and Shaka said yes, Odegaard, because we know what he means to Arsenal, the leadership he brings, of course, coming back from injury, of course, questions around his position, and if he's still the best in that position to consistently start. What did you make of him tonight?
I thought he huffed and puffed. He stood up in terms of wanting the ball, trying to gain that control that Archie was mentioning. I didn't see him really hiding away. He always likes to step up and take responsibility. I think in terms of his cutting edge that we are used to seeing with Martin Odegaard, particularly before his injury, probably we didn't see as much of that today. But I would not be completely discouraged by his performance. I think he is coming off the back of a difficult spell, over 2 months out, and it does take time to get up to speed. So unfortunately now there is no time to try to catch up to speed. The time is now. The time is now with these games. There are no smaller games, if you like, left. I think, these last 2 games, yes, they did lose. But if there were ever 2 games to lose in a row, as Shaka said, it will probably be this one. So, my hope is that that kind of bad patch is out of the way now, and the big performance will step up.
There is one of the challenges for Mikel Arteta here. I think on a disappointing day for Arsenal, the brightest story, the brightest spark was Max Dorman, a 16-year-old. And now as much as I talk about the pressure on Arsenal from here to the end of the season, in seeing at the very least this league through under difficult circumstances. I spoke about the games that they have coming up soon. Manchester City no longer have Champions League football to contend with. So that's another layer that kind of leans into Manchester City and what you may expect come that game. We've been critical of Arsenal's over-reliance on set pieces. Max Dorman comes in, and particularly in that first 45, everything that's positive about Arsenal comes through him.
Yes.
Now you have this period here to see this through, where the pressure is unlike anything Arsenal have experienced for quite some time. Do you rely on a 16-year-old? That's the question that Mikel Arteta has to answer. Now, I'm a neutral. I could say yes. I would.
Does he look like he can handle that?
I think he can. Dahlmann's performance today really was special. It really was. But now, again, so much of this game is built around performance under pressure. Do you put that pressure on a 16-year-old? That's why Mikel Arteta's paid the big bucks, and I'm sitting here because I don't know what the right answer to that is.
I think there's two ways you can look at it. I think, Max was not part of the last few years in terms of Arsenal just falling short, and so he's not susceptible to that pressure. But in terms of can he handle it, I haven't seen anything that's to say that he can't.
Correct.
To be honest.
All right, well, it sounds like our Archie has definitely come up tops as he's got Norgard with him.
Alexis, thank you very much. Christian, obviously a disappointing night for the club. How do you reflect on the performance?
Yeah. In the end of the day, I think we lost too many easy ball in possession. We gave them too many counter situations, and too many 50-50 duels went to their side. So that's something we have to improve and look at ourselves because that was not on the level that should be expected for Arsenal.
What else was missing? Because it felt like the team didn't create maybe the same volume of chances that you would expect.
No, maybe a final sharpness on the last third, and also credit to their defending. I thought they defended their box pretty well. But in those situations, I think we should have kept the ball a bit longer attacks, suffocated them a little bit more. But we threw the ball away too quick, and that's why we were very vulnerable sometimes and suffered a lot on their counter-attacks.
What do you think Southampton made so difficult tonight? It felt like it was a bear pit of an atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it was. They credit to them. They played a good game, and I think they had a very clear tactic. But I think as good as they played, I think it was more on our side. I think. Against these sides that are doing so well in the Championship as well, they have so much quality. You need to play on a much higher level than we did today.
You are no doubt familiar with the noise that will now come from outside. The club is being rattled by what's happening. What do you say to that?
I think it's about not listening too much to it and focusing on what we have to do. Coming in every day with the right body language, with the right attitude. There is still 2 very important tournaments for us to compete in. And as disappointing as it is tonight, we already have a big game on Tuesday, so we cannot let what happened tonight affect us too much.
Just quickly, you are renowned as a model pro, 32, one of the older heads in the squad. How do you stay calm in this situation? There are some younger heads in this team. What do you tell them to do at this stage?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's about what I said before about the body language. Not having your head down too much. I think tonight you should be disappointed. Even tomorrow we need to analyze what happened and what was not good enough. But then we also have to look forward and embrace the situation we are in right now. Because I can mention a lot of clubs that I didn't want to be in right now. We still have 2 big competitions to play in and two possible trophies to win. So much still to play for.
Christian, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheers. Alexis, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Kieran, what do you make of what Christian had to say?
I think he said all the right things. I think he didn't shy away from the responsibility, and he was honest. I think he's an honest character, and I think he's humble enough to know when the level of performance is not good enough. So I think, like he said, there's still so much to play for.
Oh yeah.
And so how quickly can they bounce back? I used to have a defeat. I hated having 10 days or a week between the game, and the fact that they get to go out now and respond quickly, away from home and put in a big performance. I prefer that. I prefer that to have just a night or two to shake it off and bounce back.
Congratulations. This place has just erupted. Your goal has taken Southampton to Wembley. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's surreal, really. We've been to Wembley before, but I didn't play, so, going now and to play there will be just unbelievable.
And just talk me through what the instruction was when you were sent on.
I got told to come on, kind of try and get hold of the game, try and keep the ball for a bit, which I thought we did okay. But then to score is just special.
What was that feeling? feeling like when that ball came to you in that moment, the composure you showed?
Yeah, I know Kyle was right behind me, so when it came to me, I'm not the striker, but I thought I'd try and place it in the corner, and it's a goal, and just feel like emotion from there.
It has been a difficult couple of weeks for you with what happened when you were away on international duty, but what's going on here at Southampton must be the perfect distraction. It's incredible here. Yeah,
it's really special. These fans deserve this, and you see how loud they were tonight. It's incredible. Obviously, disappointment last week, but got a big future with Northern Ireland, so excited.
50 years on since Southampton won the FA Cup, you're going for promotion as well. Does it feel like it could be a really special end to the season?
Yeah, it feels that way a little bit. I met some of those guys a few months ago, and they spoke about how incredible it was, so to do something like that with this team will just be unbelievable.
Shay, go and enjoy the celebrations because it's special. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First goal, congratulations. What an amazing night.
Yeah, incredible night. Celebrations are mad. Unbelievable night for the club, and we believe we could do it, and it's a great result and what a day to look forward to.
You seem to cause them a lot of problems, particularly in the first half, but even when they equalised, I know you came up with that point, but even when they equalised, you were still carrying a threat.
Yeah, I think that got credit to the manager. I think tactically he's been incredible since he came in, and we knew ways that we could hurt them. I think you saw that. I think all night we were a threat in the counter, and we played really good stuff. But at the same time, we know Arsenal are a top team, would have spells in the game, and we had to really manage that. And I thought we'd done that really well. I thought we limited them to kind of shots to long range, and Shea Charles has popped up with another winner, so unbelievable.
Micah might have to shout his question if you can't hear him.
No, but just your energy throughout the game was just unbelievable. We know you've had a bad injury, but to see you in that form, holding it up, when the ball come to you, it always stuck. Was that the plan earlier on, to go direct to you and then on that counter-attack?
Yeah, we knew Arsenal would high press, and we felt like a lot of the time our outball would be that release pass. So I was just trying to get the balance of when I could show so short or show long, and I kind of balanced it quite well, and we caused them problems. And I thought we had a great outball all night. Obviously towards the end Arsenal had pressure, but we felt a constant threat, and I thought we showed that and scored 2 really good goals. And yeah, listen to this, it's great.
Shall we, do you want to see your goal before I let you go?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it'd have been a bit awkward if you'd said no. It's a great finish.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's been it's like the wind's been swirling all night. When Breezy crossed it, I think Ben White kind of get caught under it a bit. And I brought it down, and when it brought it down, it felt lovely, and I was just thinking, hit the target, keep your head over it, and it's found the corner, and it was great.
One thing you want to enjoy tonight, right, of course, but you've got 2 very important games, one on Tuesday, more importantly. But you have to enjoy tonight, right? Really, how do you switch it now to go back to Championship now, to perform like you did tonight in midweek?
Yeah, well, listen, we'll enjoy tonight.
Yes.
Tomorrow we'll be back to business. It's not every day you make an FA Cup semi-final or you beat Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final, so we'll enjoy tonight. But like you say, we've got a lot of tough league business to take care of between now and then. We want to obviously, hopefully, try and find our way maybe even into second, but if not, solidify a playoff spot. And we've got to try and bounce back. It's a great night, but it'll be another tough game Tuesday, different type of game, but we'll prepare properly and we'll be ready to go.
Very quickly before I let you go, makes all that hard work coming back from injury worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. These are the nights when the hard rehab sessions, solo rehab sessions that bring that buzz back, and I've missed it, and it was great to have it, and hopefully I can do more of them.
Delighted for you. Congratulations. Well done. Ross with us. Right, we've gone way over, so we're going to have to go off air, and then we will continue on iPlayer and we'll get more reaction. But 50 years after they caused one of the great Cup final upsets, once again, can't believe I'm going to say this, Southampton are on their way to Wembley.
There's a huge smile on the face of this man next to me. Shea Charles joins us now after a special night at St Mary's. Was that nice watching that back?
Yeah, it was. First time I watched it back, so it's really good. I scored in my last game here, so to score again, it's special.
And tell us about heading to Wembley. You're off to Wembley for that semi-final now. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's incredible. We went to Wembley a couple of years ago and won promotion there, so to go in the FA Cup is unbelievable.
And what about the performance from the team tonight and this unbeaten run, which goes on to 15 games? What does that performance, that result tell us about where you are as a team now?
Yeah, I think it just shows how good we've been. Playing at home against probably the best team in the country at the moment, and to play that in the first half, coming at 1-0, is special. So it's a credit to the boys and that started the game.
Obviously, the manager seemed to have a big impact. But today, it felt like you guys mixed it up really well. You played short at times, but then you played really long as well. Talk about the impact or the game plan the manager had for today, because it felt like it came off beautifully.
Yeah, it was really good. I feel like I missed a bit on Wednesday because I was still coming back from international. But from what I've seen, it was just like kind of play how we normally play. Don't kind of fear the opposition. Respect them, but not too much. And I think the boys did that so well. We managed to latch on second balls and counter-attack really well. So, it was very good.
Shay, how was it from your point of view? Because you normally start, you didn't start today. Were you sitting there a little bit angry and thinking, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to do something special, which you obviously did?
Yeah, when you don't start games, it's kind of the aim to come on and make an impact. So, it's quite tough coming back from an injury, and I feel like I've been like kind of put in quite slowly. But I feel like I just try to do what the manager tells me to do, and thankfully today I had a good impact.
Because it wasn't an angry finish from somebody coming on a bit annoyed. It was a cultured finish, and you stop it first, don't you, with your left foot, and you come onto it beautifully. You actually get a flick in the build-up.
Shay, have a look at it here. I mean, it's a great goal. It really is.
Fellows takes it.
Fellows was brilliant today, wasn't he?
Yeah, Tom was incredible.
I think it's you just stop it. You stop it with one foot.
Yeah.
And you stroke it away. Tell me about that.
Well, I heard Kyle behind me. Kyle was shouting for the ball. Taking the ball off a striker's feet is risky almost, but I thought I'd just take it to my path, and as long as I could find that far corner, I had a chance.
Do you know what I was impressed with? How many bodies you guys got in the box there? You didn't think at 1-1 against a Premier League team, you guys were looking for the win? That says a lot about the mentality, I think, of the group, and it was a great attack.
Yeah, exactly. It does show how confident we are at the moment to be able to get into the box and kind of finish our chances. Like midfielders, strikers, and even Sam was in there at the back post. So, again, just shows our confidence.
How much of the guys were aware of this 50 years ago winning this FA Cup? It was an incredible thing to do as a Division 2 team, which is obviously like a Championship team, the equivalent now. Do you feel you can go on and win this thing?
Yeah, there's still very good teams in the competition, but there's absolutely no reason why we can't go and challenge them. We got told about, obviously with the kit and all, we got told about the 50 years, and I met some of those guys a few months ago, so they kind of told us how special it is to do it. So we can dare to dream.
What about the role of the fans tonight? What can you say about the atmosphere and how they drove you on the pitch?
Yeah, they were incredible. They deserve nights like this. So to be able to do that tonight, and they were our top man tonight. So special credit to them.
And you've got a massive week coming up as well, with Wrexham next as well as you push for the players. The pressure's going to really ramp up now in these few games coming up. But how can this help going into that run?
Yeah, I feel like it can just give us more confidence. 2 massive games next week, so that'll only help us even more. First game away at a really good team, so we just got to go there and perform in a similar way.
Make you even more desperate to get this team back to the Premier League as well, after what you've just done against the league leaders tonight. Yeah,
exactly. That's what the fans deserve. That's where the club should be. So, it's all really exciting.
Congratulations on the win tonight. Thanks for coming out to join us as well. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll take that off you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, well done. Congratulations.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Nice to meet you. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a...
Well, it would have been a roller coaster 10 days for him, because obviously representing Northern Ireland as an international as well, and went out of the World Cup, and he's put all that to one side. He got back a little bit late, and he found himself not in the 11. And he's saying there that they could possibly go on and win it. And he met the former winners of it. It's interesting how that would have inspired the players, the current day players, seeing the guys who've won it in the past. There's definitely some special force behind them tonight. The fans were amazing, but it's been a long time, 50 years.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable. And if they can follow in their footsteps, that would be an even better achievement, I believe.
And he came through that City academy, which we've already touched on as well, makes it harder for Arsenal to take him getting the winner. Do you think he'll want City in that draw tomorrow? His manager, perhaps not so much.
Do you know what? I think if they play like that, they can give anybody a game. You know, that's the best team in the country, arguably the best team in Europe, in Arsenal. And I know there was no Declan Rice, and the California didn't play, Gyökeres didn't start. They were missing Saliba who was on the bench, Zubimendi was on the bench, but I just thought they were terrific today. And credit to the manager. You know, I just thought it was interesting that Shea didn't play, and I think the manager said because the lads that were on the training pitch, they weren't away at internationals, they're the ones he kind of went with because he kind of had a game plan and he worked on it. Shea said he came in on Wednesday, so that's probably he missed some of the training sessions, but the training sessions he must have put on, I thought the way they implemented the tactics was spot on. And I don't think Southampton, if they play with that courage, I know the home support helped them today. You know, and I thought the manager said it before the game to Matt Smith. You know, we're going to play with courage, and it's easy to say that, but I tell you what, they did.
They absolutely
and they really surprised Arsenal today.
Yeah, they certainly.
Do you know what an achievement for this football club to get to Wembley in the semi-final of the FA Cup? You know, you think obviously Manchester City's in there, Chelsea's in there, one more team to come. The smiles on these fans' faces, how much it means to them. But I thought the fans were brilliant today. The atmosphere was exceptional. But I thought the team delivered in the biggest moment, one of the biggest of the season, against one of the best teams in Europe, in Arsenal. They delivered, and they deserved it. And I'm sure Mikel will probably say that after the game. Arsenal weren't at their best, but Southampton had a game plan, and they capitalised on it, and they were terrific all evening.
And they're commemorating that 50th anniversary of their famous FA Cup win in 1976. Their only FA Cup win, Martin, is a fairy tale story for them tonight, quite fitting.
Well, you know, you look at history, is it going to repeat itself? There they are now in the semi-final. Young manager, we talked about before the game, the confidence he's brought to this group, transformed their season, and they very much deserve that victory tonight. I thought they were immense all over the pitch, nice and compact, great on the counter-attack. They gave Arsenal plenty of warnings that they did not heed, and in the end the goal they scored to win the game is Fellows on that right-hand side, comes inside, it's real quality, and then a cultured finish. They just picked out the corner and Arsenal couldn't cope.
And they had such a tough season last season. 12 points I think was all they got in the league, and to respond this season in the way they had after a tough start, Tanderecker coming in and taking over and having the impact that he has, it's been some turnaround for them.
You know, and I thought he's only a young manager, but I thought he's done brilliant. I thought they mixed their game up really well. At times they tried to play. When Arsenal pressed them really high, they went long. I thought the wind played a part in the game. The wind was swirling for large parts of the game.
But they handled that so well.
But they did, and that's what I mean. They mixed it up. They played short, they played long, they got the ball wide. They're terrific attacking players. Fellows was brilliant on the right-hand side. Zienza on the left-hand side as well. Stewart at the top of the pitch ran Arsenal ragged, which is really hard. And I thought the midfield players contributed as well. So from everyone, goalkeeper as well, made some big saves in the game. They got a lot of blocks, the two centre-backs. I think the manager can be so proud. He had a game plan before the game. And you know what, I thought the players executed it brilliantly.
Should we look at that winning goal? Because Fellows did have a massive role in that, didn't he? The way he drove them forward.
Do you know what, I just thought even Charles wins that first header there, but they're just so positive. I love how he's driving forward. Fellows on this right-hand side, he's got a great little left foot. That little cut inside and that run is great. Look how many bodies they get in the box. You know, there's 5 and 6. At 1-1-1. It's quite remarkable for a championship team to go at Arsenal like they did.
Yeah, but look, if you look at the composure, Fellows, look at the weighted pass. He just puts it into his path and then he just waits that little delay and he picks out the corner beautifully. He's come off the bench. He's got a point to prove. He's had the disappointment with Northern Ireland going out of the World Cup. Shown none of that. And he's just ridden on the back of that. The joy that this stadium, the stadium took off when that went in. It was incredible.
And he's an ex-Manchester City player as well, Martin. Came through the academy. Does that make it harder to take?
Well, there was 3 or 4 of them in the group, wasn't there, tonight? So it was always going to be, a sting in the tail maybe in this one. But no, I think Arsenal have to hold their hands up. They were second best here today in all the duels. They didn't seem to be at their usual control in the game. Zubimendi came on maybe a little bit late in the match. I thought he maybe could have come on a bit sooner. Max Dowman was Arsenal's best player tonight, and maybe that says it all.
We'll have a look at their opening goal now as well. We've heard from Ross Stewart as well. He was absolutely delighted after getting them off the mark here today. It was another well-worked goal, though, this for them, but there was a big mistake from Ben White in the lead-up.
Well, there was as well, and I don't think Arsenal transitioned well enough defensively. You see that midfield there, Havertz and in Ødegaard. There's 2 10s. There's space at the back post. Ben White jumps underneath it. And the reason he did is because of the wind. Obviously, he just mistimes it. But I thought Stewart was terrific. He just waits at that back post. Ben White sees him, but he just jumps underneath it, Martin.
Ross Stewart was explaining, wasn't he, in the interview afterwards, that, look, it's been tricky all night with the wind. I'm just going to delay this. And he read it really well. So he wasn't surprised that Ben White mistimes that ball, and then he comes onto it and picks out his corner beautifully. A great finish from him.
It was a massive test for them against Premier League opposition tonight. What does this tell us about where Southampton are as a team now, Owen?
Well, now they'll believe they can win it. You know, now they're in the semi-final. I think credit the manager. He said before the game, and I think he was saying to Matt, he said, we have belief, we have a game plan, and it showed. It's easy to say that before the game. Most teams will come in a game like this and just defend and play on the counter, but I thought they defended really well. But then they really packed a punch when they needed to. The attacking players stayed high and wide. And actually, you know, I think Arsenal defensively, the two fullbacks really struggled today. Calafiori had an impact when he came on. I think Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz didn't really give him much at the top of the pitch. And Mark made a really good point. Max Damman was by far their best player, you know, and then he went inside and played as a 10 and was still their best player. So I think credit goes to Southampton today. You know, I just thought they defended really well. They had blocks, but then I think the attacking players really caused Arsenal some issues, and we haven't really seen that. You know, Arsenal rarely concede chances, but I thought today Southampton created quite a few.
And you wondered before the game if this could be a distraction for Southampton. Their full focus should be on their push for the playoffs because they've got a massive game coming up against Wrexham, Martin. But you could see just how important it was for them not to lose that momentum tonight and keep that unbeaten run going. Yeah,
Cienza, I think he typified their performance tonight. You know, somebody that captured the imagination, saw it as an opportunity. You know, it's a big platform. There's a lot of cameras here. Everyone's here. The attention's on the game, and he really, you know, caused problems for Arsenal tonight. Ben White has just played 2 international games. He wouldn't have played against a better player than he played against here today.
OK, we're going to get some reaction now from the Southampton manager, who I'm sure is absolutely delighted. Tonda Eckert is alongside Matt Smith.
Tonda, that must feel amazing for you and all your players and all those fans outside.
Yeah, it was a big night for us. We knew that we had to dig deep in some moments. I think we also had some very good spells on the ball, which you need against a team like that. And I think over the 90 minutes, very well deserved.
Very much so. I think from the outside, and for those that haven't seen your team over the last few months, is that exactly what you want to see and why you've been so good in recent weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that every game has its own story. You know, there's some games that you might need to win with 70% possession. There might be some games you need to win on a transition or on a set piece. So there's different ways. I think we've shown that we're able to play games in different ways, and I think that's important.
Did you look at maybe the conditions tonight and think that could be some way to unsettle a team that's so used to control?
In which way?
To use the wind to play long balls and unsettle their defenders?
Well, we won the toss and we changed sides. I think that says enough. Huh?
Yeah, but it felt like you had good tactical ideas about how to get at an Arsenal team that everybody finds hard to play against.
Yeah, it's a good team. You can throw some problems at them and they always have a solution. They are so well managed. They are so tough to come up against. I think we had some moments where we did find a couple of solutions and then... Yeah, you need to be able to react to see what the second half brings. Then there's the substitutions again that changed the game. I think we made quite good substitutions on the back of that. And yeah, in the end, a big night for us, big night for the supporters.
No, absolutely. And you talked pre-match about you had to make choices about who started the game to bring Shea Charles on, and then he finds the winning goal for you. That's good management.
That's a good way to start and end the interview, huh?
Well played.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.